Good evening, everyone. This is the Amherst Conservation Commission's bi uh, semi-monthly meeting. Today is the 24th of June, 2026, and it's 7:11 p.m. My apologies for those who've been waiting for 11 minutes for this to start. I had some technical issues. Today we'll be looking at two hearings. We'll also be discussing hunting for the uh, uh, as far as the regulations are concerned, and some of the other business that we have as well. To start out with, I think it's important for all to know that we are under a significant drought, and there are prohibitions on certain types of watering. If you can please take a look at the town's website, the water department will have listed what can and can't be done with the water. Other than that, I don't have a lot more to add for now. So I'll pass things over to Dave Zomek for the town, and just to make it official, we do have one, two, three, four, five of our members present today. We're missing two, and two town staff, Dave Zomek and Aaron Jacques. Dave, would you
Good.
like to? Thank you,
Sure.
Dave.
Thanks, Andre. Appreciate it. I really don't have too many updates tonight, so I'll be fairly brief. Can you hear me okay, first off?
Yes.
Couple of just brief updates is all I have. I think in your packet, I'm not sure if Aaron got them in there, but there was a couple of photos. There are hopefully a couple of photos of the redecked larger bridge at Wentworth Farm Conservation Area. This is a project that conservation staff worked on, really a pretty big project. This is a bridge that was actually done as part of an Eversource project many years ago, probably 10 to 12 years ago. And they completely redecked the top and even did a little work to protect the I-beams. This is a pretty significant bridge that's been there, as I said, for 12 years. There's another bridge. This is the access off of Old Farm Road. There's a smaller bridge as you come in from Old Farm Road that needs quite a bit of work. We just haven't been able to slot that in. But again, this is redecking work. These bridges, they do rot out over time. So we try to use the longest lasting wood products we can. The original bridges, I believe, were white oak. And as I said, they lasted maybe 12, maybe 14 years. So that's a nice addition there and adds to the safety of walking at Wentworth. I did check the level of Gull Pond. Despite the drought, Gull Pond is holding. The beaver flow structure there seems to be holding the level at the spot that we wanted it to be. So it looks like a full pond over there at Gull Pond. Lots of people fishing. I think I was coming through on Monday night. I think that's when we got the rainstorm and it was pouring rain, and there was a gentleman fishing from the shore. So still providing that fishing access. The staff focus right now is really maintaining trailheads, parking areas, cleaning up trash. Trash is an ongoing challenge. I was corresponding with Bruce a little bit. We've been doing some experimenting up at Puffer's Pond with a little carry in, carry out. That was going pretty well. And then once we did put out a few trash receptacles, and a female bear and her two cubs discovered the trash, and there went that experiment. So we try to move around the trash receptacles at Puffers to try to dissuade her and maybe hopefully move her back into the woods, away from people and away from that easy source of food for her, and her cubs. So really right now, this time of year, it's really just going down trails, brushing, what we call brushing back trails, It's really a lot of invasives, making the trails passable. If you've been on the trails this time of year, what happens is invasives, multiflora rose, natives all grow over the trails. So it's just clipping down and making sure it's passable. We get a lot of inquiries this time of year about trails being impassable, people worried about poison ivy and ticks. Those are the two main concerns. So we just try to brush them back and move on. Unfortunately, we really do not have any seasonal staff this year. We're hoping to add one in July, but right now it's Brad and Anthony. So it has been very hard, as I mentioned before, to recruit seasonal staff, young people to work on the trails, work at Buffers Pond. So that is an ongoing challenge. Part of it is I think there are many other jobs out there that pay more than the town is able to pay. And so we are in direct competition with lots of other jobs and jobs at retailers and coffee shops, et cetera, et cetera. So we pay about $15.75, I think, an hour, and that doesn't compete anymore. So we're working on that with our HR department and other departments. So those are the quick updates that I have. Nothing earth shattering. I know Bruce may also want to update on the culvert grant. We just had a meeting today about the culvert grant. Also, I'm battling a little cold here, so if I turn off my mic, it just means I'm dealing with this viral thing I've got. So Bruce has his hand up, I see.
Well, I wanted to ask if there is a system for volunteers to work on the trails.
There is not a system, but Brad per se, but Brad Border Week, each year we get sometimes an overwhelming number of requests for people wanting to work on the trails. There is no organized system of this group does that trail, that group does, the Robert Frost, or that group does the Ken Cuddeback. But we consistently get students from UMass, from Amherst College, from Hampshire, as well as community members volunteering. So Brad typically directs them to specific sections of trail that need work. We're a little limited, Bruce, in that it's hard to have volunteers use any power tools, even like a line trimmer. So really, oftentimes, what we're organizing is an event where they might go and just manually clip multiflora rows as they go down the trails. But anybody interested in volunteering can contact Brad, and he sets up weekends. We have running groups. We have Eagle Scouts. We have all sorts of groups volunteer throughout the year.
Okay. I'll yield to Carol before I talk about Fort River culverts.
I just wondered, I know Kestrel gets a lot done with volunteers. I wonder if they have some extras or could direct some people to you.
And that's a good point, Carol. Thanks for reminding me. We do quite a bit of sharing of labor with Kestrel, particularly on the Robert Frost Trail. We've agreed to collaborate with them on the Robert Frost Trail, particularly as they and the trustees of reservations have picked up some of the land east and northeast Amherst. So we are collaborating with them on a number of projects. So when they need labor or they need muscle or they need help, we go, and likewise they will do the same, and they'll often bring volunteers. So it's a great relationship with Kestrel.
Okay, so 2 points about Fort River culverts. Almost all of the Amherst culverts have been assessed, except they're still cleaning up a few on the college campuses. The data has not yet entered the national database, but that's a step that needs to be taken. It's a 2-year project, and the end of the first fiscal year is next Tuesday. And then the most important thing is to remind all of you that we're having a public community meeting about culverts and flooding this coming Saturday on the Common, on the North Common, from 11 to 1. And any of you who can come and sit in or ask questions or help me by distributing the flyers over at the farmers market to get people, because the entire enterprise here is to get people from the farmers market to come over to the tent and talk about culverts. So please do join us. Beth Wilson and I are going to set up around 10, and then we'll just start whenever we're ready to go and people show up. Thank you.
Thanks, David, for the update, and Bruce, thanks for giving us the information. I hope that anybody who can will attend on Saturday and help out. Any land use updates, Aaron, from the conservation agent?
No land use applications have come in.
Okay, so with that, we'll move on to the hearings. General procedures for fairness to all applicants. We've got 20 minutes dedicated to each hearing. It starts with a 5-minute presentation by the applicants or representatives, 5 minutes for staff to make comment, 5 minutes for the public, or 2 minutes each person, and then 5 minutes for the commissioners. When you're presenting, please state your name clearly, who you work for, or who you're presenting for, and your preferred pronouns if you have any. And for those in the public, please state your name, address, and any preferred pronouns. Any materials submitted to the commission need to be handed in prior to the Wednesday, the week before our meeting. So anything should have been in by last Wednesday. And as far as Robert's rules of order, essentially remain muted until you're called on. And I think that's about it. I mean, you'll see, it'll be fine. So with that, we'll move on to our first hearing. This public hearing is now called to order. This hearing is being held as required by the provisions of Chapter 131, Section 40 of the General Laws of the Commonwealth, an act relative to the protection of wetlands, and as most recently amended, in Article 3.31, Wetlands Protection under the Town of Amherst General Bylaws. This is an abbreviated notice NOI submitted by Bacon and Wilson on behalf of 40 University Drive LLC for the conversion of 2 landscape islands in an existing parking lot to pervious pavement parking within the buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetlands at 40 University Drive, map 13B, lot 57. Do we have folks here to speak, to present for by Bacon Wilson?
Yes, I'll add Tom Reedy as a panelist.
Tom, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Go ahead and give us your presentation, please.
Sure. For the record, Tom Reedy, attorney with Bacon Wilson out of Amherst, here on behalf of 40 University Drive in its application for an abbreviated notice of intent for 40 University Drive to convert, hopefully simply, a couple of landscape islands into 5 parking spaces. What I'd like to do is share my screen, if I could, to just acclimate you to the site, and then I can show you. So first I'll show you the aerial of the site, and then I will show you the plan of what we're proposing to do.
So Tom, you should be able to request to share. There you
Just
go.
requested
And
it.
then I can allow you to.
Perfect. So hopefully if you can see my screen, this is just Amherst GIS. This is 40 University Drive. To the north is New Market Center, which is the hangar plaza. To the south is 70 University Drive, which is a multifamily, I think it's a mixed use building. Technically, This is the restaurant that was originally known as Savannah's and then subsequently known as Amherst Public House. It was built, this and this 70 University Drive, I'll zoom out a little bit. These were both previously owned by a single person. Then we went through, I want to say in 2016, order of resource area delineation for this entire, both of these sites. And then subsequently permitted the restaurant on the northerly site, divided it off in the mixed use on the southerly site and divided that off. And so in the packet, we had provided that original ORAD because we then submitted a notice of intent for both of these projects separately and received orders of conditions for both of them. And so they were built, and right now we'll just talk about 40 University Drive in accordance with that order of conditions. And that order had, as you'll see from the next plan that'll show, really a retaining wall built along here. And so below that retaining wall, the wetlands existed in this area, and they've extended now to the foot of that retaining wall. But if you've been on the site, you'll see that there's a stark demarcation between the disturbed area, the improved area here in this driveway, and then where the resource area is here. So we didn't seek, and we're not asking for approval of any revised wetland line because of the type of construction that it is and how it's been really built and demarcated. So this is the site. I don't think I can, I'll try to zoom, there we go. This is probably the max extent I can zoom in. There's a landscape island right here, and there's a landscape island right here. These are both required as part of the planning board, strike that, zoning board of appeals approval, which we're going to modify separately. But it is in this area and this area that we're looking to eliminate those landscape islands. And instead, there's pervious pavement here, here, and here. We're looking to convert this and this to pervious pavement. And really the upshot of this is insufficient parking on site. I know it's only 5 spaces, but it's 5 spaces. The restaurant has had a tough time succeeding. We're at the, I'll call it 1 yard line with a potential tenant who is a local restaurant operator for this space. And one of their requirements was to increase the parking. And so this increases that parking without disturbing this area or any of this area. So we thought it was actually the building commissioner's suggestion. We thought that it was the best way to do it. It is within buffer. And so that's why we're here in front of you. So I'll stop that share and I will share the plan so that you can see what we're proposing here. It is to remove this landscape island and this landscape island. There is curbing back here. There's a trench drain along the back, which I've looked at the conditions and talked with Aaron, and we're fine with all the conditions that are looking to be imposed. Should you issue the order, we would put erosion control along the back here as we're doing the work here and here. And then it really is just putting this into the pervious pavement as the surrounding area. And again, we've seen the conditions about requiring, and I just saw it on the notice, the engineer's certification that everything's functioning. And obviously if it's not, to bring it into compliance to make sure that the site is functioning as it was originally intended to do. And so somewhat as simply as I can, we're looking to convert those islands, and you'll see that there's already pervious pavement behind here, so it doesn't even go into the wetlands or resource area. And then back here, we don't go beyond that guide rail or anywhere beyond that elevated retaining wall. So I'll stop there. I think I've hit on anything. Obviously, I'm around to answer any questions if you want. I can leave this up, or Mr. Chair, if you want, I can take it down so folks can see each other better.
I think you can leave it up. Folks can probably pass on to a different page if they want to see each other.
Okay.
So, and thank you, Tom. We go now to the town. Aaron.
Yeah, so I communicated with Tom ahead of time about this. I think there was, just as a quick kind of backstory, there was a wetland mitigation area that was approved as part of the original um, restaurant construction, which was on the east side of the site. And so there was already a sort of an approved mitigation plan in association with the original order of conditions. Um, so part of, if you look at the draft orders of conditions that are in the folder, as well as the findings of fact, I tried to there was a couple outstanding conditions that still need to be wrapped up, so I tried to roll those into the new abbreviated notice of intent as well as um, you know, some maintenance that needs to be performed on the site. Um, pretty standard stuff. The We had previously discussed this project relative to needing some updated operation and maintenance logs. So just to make sure that we have a maintenance regime taken care of on the site before the work begins. And then obviously, if any material is tracked onto the parking area during the work, then that should also be cleaned up. But yeah, you can take a look at the draft conditions. They're in the project folder. And also the other piece was the final demarcation of the wetlands, which still needs to be completed, as well as the signage. And so what I tried to do is sort of consolidate it with a little more direct guidance in this order. So it kind of kill two birds with one stone, if you will. Like when they come back to get a certificate of compliance on the old order and the new order, we can cross those both off the list. Um, so that's how I've kind of framed it out on the approval tonight, and that's basically all I have. There are some DEP comments. I did speak to DEP at length about the situation and explained sort of the unique situation here. And I think I made it clear that we're going to end up having two open orders on the project, as we have with many other sites, and they weren't particularly thrilled about it, but they understand that it's a unique situation because it was recently permitted. So, and the old permit is expired is the other piece. So that's what makes it even more challenging.
Thanks, Aaron. I appreciate your insight as always. Let's turn to the public and see if there's any member of the public who's raised their hands. If you're out there and have any questions or comments, please raise your hand for us to bring you in. I don't see any public attendees with hands up, so we'll just turn it over to the commissioners. Any questions from commissioners? I mean, I think I can start with just a clarification. So this 40 University Drive had an NOI before, and it wasn't closed, right? Is that all right?
Correct.
And it wasn't closed because we've got some boxes to check off, meaning some work to do before we can close it.
Correct.
Okay, and then and so now the idea is that we want those things done before work starts on what you're proposing.
A few of those items, yeah. It's not to go through and get the certificate of compliance, but I think Aaron has identified several items that she would want taken care of prior to the work starting, which Barry's
Right.
fine with.
Yeah, Tom, no disrespect, but the commission wants that done. Will want that done, right? That's her recommendation for us to do. Thank you. All right, so I just wanted to make sure I got all that clear in my mind. Thanks, Tom. Any commissioner questions, comments? Okay, I don't see any. I have a hand up, Bruce.
So at the heart of the proposal is to take away 2 landscape islands and make, I think it's 5 additional parking spaces using porous or pervious paver construction. The pervious pavers that are out there now probably are impervious, because as far as we could tell when we were on the site visit, there's a lot of debris and sand in the perviousness that prevents it from functioning in the proper way. So certainly one question is, when was the last time it was vacuumed? And what do the operation and maintenance logs show about how many times a year it is vacuumed? I don't know the technical details of when the vacuuming is supposed to happen, and depends on the type of paver and stuff. But basically, until we know that the existing porous pavement actually functions, then I don't want to approve something adding more of it until I'm convinced that the whole thing is going to function the way it's supposed to. Thank you.
No, that makes a lot of sense, Bruce. I mean, it hasn't been cleaned for a while from, is that right, Tom? Do you have records there?
I don't, and I don't know the last time it was swept.
It's vacuuming though. That's the key.
That's what I mean, that's
Yeah.
what
Okay.
wrong term. Yes, sorry. I think, I mean, kind of my request would be, given the timing of this and that Barry is going to be out there doing the work. I thought I saw in the notice that we would need an engineer statement that it's functioning. And if it's not functioning, I mean, we've got the spec of the porous pavement detail, and if we would need to take it out and put it back in to ensure, like, frankly, I don't know enough about the vacuuming to know if you can, once it gets to this point, can you even vacuum it out, or do you just have to redo it? And understanding the intent is to make sure that it's functioning as pervious pavement, I'd say put a condition on to say if it's not, then we have to bring it into compliance. Right? Take it out and put it in so that it is functioning. And then it's a lesson to Barry to make sure that it's vacuumed appropriately to make sure that it's functioning. So that would be the request, instead of going back and seeing and then coming back, is to say, listen, if it's not, let's rip the Band-Aid off and fix it.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Bruce. Aaron, is there a condition in there in the conditions that you drafted up? I'm sorry, but I'm not. Is there a condition that has them test to ensure that the porosity has remained?
So in the version that I uploaded to the packets, it does not include that condition. After our check-in, I added a note to the slide for this hearing, and let me just read what that says, and we can modify that as needed. To add an additional condition that engineer's assessment must be made that as-built conditions of the structure, 1, comply with the original previously approved plan, and 2, all systems, including pervious pavement, are functional in their current condition. And that would need to be done prior to the scheduling of the pre-construction meeting. And I guess just a follow-up question from me on that, would you then, as part of this approval, if there was a functionality problem, it would be built into this order that they would be permitted then to do whatever repair necessary to make it functional. I mean, would we want to condition that in so that it could be repaired should there be some sort of functionality problem at that time?
That's a good question. You're asking that of the commission, is that right?
Correct, yeah.
I think it's worth discussing. I mean, if there's a way to do this, do it cleanly. Yes, I personally would be. I'm not sure about the rest. I think we'll need to poll folks, but Bruce does have a question comment. Bruce?
I was just going to say that it makes sense what Aaron just described, because if it's functioning, great. They vacuum it, it's functioning. We get a certificate from the right person telling us that. That's great. If it's not, they can repair it or replace it while they're putting in the other ones because they're going to put in 5 more parking spaces worth of the same material. And so it allows for an efficient way to do this, in my view.
Thanks, Bruce. Any other folks? Any other comments? I think it looks like we're in agreement. Aaron, is it possible to do this then kind of seamlessly? So in other words, if they find that it's not porous anymore and they have to do the whole, redo the porous area, is there a way to build that into those conditions to permit that work?
Yes, absolutely. And I think the only potential deviation might be that if, let's say they have an engineer out there, worst case scenario, they discover something's not functioning, and then they decide, okay, well, we're going to just repair it now while we're out here working. If there's a deviation to, for example, the erosion and sediment controls, where they need to extend the erosion controls around the limit of work in a different way, I would just want them to check in with me prior to that happening, so that I can kind of get on the same page with them about what they're putting in and where they're putting it prior to the pre-construction meeting. So as long as we can kind of build that into the order of conditions as a additional condition, I'm completely fine with that.
All right, good. Okay, so with that, I think we're all. Are there any more questions from commissioners? No. Okay, with that, then we're looking for a motion. Actually, can you put the motion up, because I think you've updated it? Is that right?
Yeah. Well, so I'm just typing in the additional conditions so everyone can see it. And just give me one moment, and
Sure. Take your time.
I'll share my screen. Hopefully this is somewhat legible on the fly. So this is the additional condition added to the order, which I just added. If functionality problem is discovered during the assessment, the commission grants permission for reconstruction of the stormwater systems. If that's the case, owner will need to seek approval of alternate erosion control configuration. And I'll just put prior to the pre-construction meeting.
And Aaron, just a finer point on that, is it approval through the conservation agent?
Yeah, I mean, that's fine with me if it's okay with the commission.
Yeah, I think it is, unless we hear otherwise.
Thank you.
Great.
So, just to get this straight, Aaron, excuse me. Whoever it is going to read this motion and add to it the second part that you've got above it.
You could just, because we've got the additional conditions already read into the record, you could just make the note in the motion as noted, so that will include the draft conditions in the packet plus the additional conditions that are listed above.
Okay. All right. So we need a motion as seen on the screen there.
I'll read it. Okay. Motion to close the public hearing and issue an order of consent for DEP 089-0768 with special conditions as noted and boilerplate conditions under the Wetland Protection Town of Amherst General Bylaw Article 3.31 and MA Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act.
Second.
It's Carol with a motion to issue an order of conditions for, and do we have a second?
Second.
And Tina with a second. Tina?
Aye.
Rachel?
I'm gonna abstain.
Carol?
Aye.
Bruce?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. So we've got, it's passed, and we'll hopefully we won't see you for a little while on this one, and we'll see you on whichever. Thank you very
hope.
much, Tom.
I think it's going to be an Italian restaurant, so hopefully folks like it.
We'll get some good pasta.
Yes. Okay. Good
Thanks,
seeing
Tom.
everybody. Take care.
Have
So
a good
long.
night. And with that, we'll move to our second hearing, which is going to be continued. This is an RDA, request for determination, submitted by Ty and Bond on behalf of Eversource to determine whether soil boring and sampling activities at the former manufactured gas plant MGP on Pelham Road, map 15A, lots 29, 56, 39, and 47 are subject to Wetland Protection Act and Wetlands Protection Town of Amherst General Bylaw, Article 3.31. They've requested some extra time, so we need a motion to continue the public hearing for Eversource MGP RDA to July 8th, 2026 at 7:20 p.m.
I can read it. I make a motion to move to continue the public hearing for Eversource MGP RDA to July 8th, 2026 at 7:20 p.m.
That's Tina with a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All right, Carol with a second. Tina with a motion. Carol?
Aye.
Bruce?
Aye.
Rachel?
Aye.
Tina?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. So it's moved to July 8th at 7:20. And that brings us into the other business where we'll be discussing conservation land management policies and regulations related, I think today related specifically to hunting. So last meeting we ended with an agreement that we'd look at the recommended closure or at the town's recommendations for closures of properties and for sites that are listed that are recommended to remain hunting and sites that are recommended to be reviewed one way or another. So we'll be doing that. But before that, I just wanted to throw out. I just wanted to discuss dates, if you would, where hunting would be, where there would be hunting permitted. Now, if you consider what is open to hunt, that there is always something that's open to hunting throughout the year. They're not traditional. It's not traditional type of hunting. Usually, traditional hunters will hunt for game, and game being something that you normally would eat essentially, is that what I'm referring to. Those seasons typically go between the first week of October and the end of the year, and then for some small game, it can extend to the end of January, no, until the end of February for rabbit, fox, squirrel, and hare. Fox, I wouldn't consider to be game specifically, but rabbit, squirrel, and hare are open for the first 2 months of the year, at least hare is, I believe. Anyway, I would recommend that hunting outside of the small game season and the spring turkey season be deemed closed on conservation areas. In other words, there would be hunting, if we agree that hunting would be permitted. Hunting would be from October to February, and then there's typically a month between the end of April and the end of May where it's turkey hunting, spring turkey. So that would be the only thing hunted at that time. So that's, my recommendation is that we close, that if we do allow hunting, we close the areas to hunting outside of the small game and turkey seasons. I'm not sure if anyone has comments or questions on that, but I think it makes sense that we don't keep it open for someone who wants to hunt pigeons or house sparrows or starlings, which are invasive species. Bruce.
Well, listening to it makes sense. At some point, I think everyone would benefit from having a written version of what you said.
That makes a lot of sense. Sure. Yeah. Now, if you were to look back at at what the subcommittee submitted for hunting, the recommendations of the subcommittee, I think on some of the pages toward the very end of that have these kind of bar type timelines.
Mm-hmm.
That show all the different species that are open, etc. I mean, I think for a visual, that's a good one. But if you would like me to put it into writing, I'm happy
No,
to.
I completely forgot, even though I was on the subcommittee. I forgot there were those parts, and they are really much better in terms of explaining it. So as long as it gets what you said gets embedded in there, it doesn't need to be language for that. Just that would be great. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah. Well, we'll see what we can find. It does provide a pretty good visual, but putting it in writing in a different way, not everybody has the visual recollection either. So, I just want you all to consider this for now, and the other question would be if. So I think we've all agreed that we're open to some hunting. I mean, just raise your hand if you're not. I mean, I just don't want to misinterpret. So I think the next question is: do we set more restrictive laws or rules than are already set by the state? Or do we allow it in accordance with state laws, state and federal laws and regulations, which is my recommendation. Again, people don't have to learn new rules unless there's something that some property that I think needs it. So keep these things in mind as we move forward. We can discuss it another time, but I do think it's important for everybody to kind of have a perspective of what I could kind of picture down the road. All right. So with that, why don't we start to review our list of currently open sites, currently open properties that are open to hunting. And that includes Podick, Catherine Cole, Lawrence Swamp, Simmons Farm, Atkins Flats, and the Holyoke Range. I think if, just in case anyone was wondering, there was Eastman Brook that I believe was listed previously, but through the process, we've all learned that there is that the hunting is prohibited on the CR. So let me just see. Oh, Dave.
Oh yeah, Andre, can you hear me okay?
We can hear you. Yeah, I can.
Yeah, maybe. I guess I was just wondering, I know that Aaron and I had kind of prepared a little presentation and I didn't know when you wanted us to give that. I think that was the final conclusion of the last meeting. So I was awaiting, word from you as to when you wanted to hear that.
Well, I didn't realize that you were going to do a presentation. Go ahead. That's whatever. This can flow easily.
Yeah, I think as I recall, at the end of the last meeting, we talked about Aaron and I coming up with a map to kind of go through an illustrative, very quick. These are Bruce's comments, very quick, 2 minutes or less each, and I think we can quickly flow through that. But let me back up before we launch into this, because you introed this very well, Andre. I want to remind the commission and anybody listening that, what's under Mass General Law, every conservation commission, has the authority to allow hunting or not allow hunting or do something in between, as Andre has just suggested. So, but it does take an affirmative vote of the commission to identify those areas that they would like to allow hunting and those areas that maybe they don't want to allow hunting. So as Andre said, those 6 areas have been open to hunting for some time: Podick, Catherine Cole, Lawrence Swamp, Simmons Farm, Atkins Flats, and Holyoke Range, part of Atkins Flats anyway. And so what I think we wanted to start with is Aaron and I spent some time, I don't know, a month ago, coming up with this chart. And over on the far right, we had recommended by staff to prohibit hunting. And I guess what we also asked at the end of the last meeting was for you all to think about those areas that we have in that right-hand column and to come tonight with questions or comments. Are there any areas that we identified in that recommended by staff to prohibit hunting? And we put down a very brief reason. We're not going to go through every one of them because I think some of them are very commonsensical, but that was our list of areas that we believe hunting should not be allowed. And we were hoping the main conversation tonight, if you are with us or there, would be in the middle column, which is those areas that we said, boy, the commission should really discuss. Would they allow hunting on the middle, those areas in the middle column? So I guess I'll stop there. And we were hoping to get feedback on the recommended by staff to prohibit hunting. Again, Aaron and I, between the two of us, I certainly over 22 years have visited every conservation area. I know them all well. I've helped manage them for over 20 years and gotten a lot of feedback on all of these areas. Many of them are very commonsensical: Puffer's Pond, Rolling Ridge at 1.2 acres. I don't think we need to go into great detail. Skilling's Path, 0.6 acres surrounded by houses. There's a brief rationale under in every column, every category there. So I think we wanted to, if we could, Andre, start with that, see if the commission had any questions for us on those areas recommended by staff not to have hunting. Because that might, we might be able to
good,
cut
Dave.
to
I
the
would like
chase.
to, first run through our through the ones that are listed on the web and see if anyone has questions on that small list before we get the big list, if you don't
Sure.
mind. So, do we have any questions on the left-hand column that are listed as open? No. Okay.
No,
So
That-
let's go to. Oh, you raised your hand and got rid of it. I saw it go
well,
up and.
the machine did that. I
Oh,
didn't do
yeah,
that.
go ahead, Bruce.
Okay. My only question is about Lawrence Swamp because it's really large and it's very complicated. And I wondered whether the Conway student project enabled any additional information that might be helpful. Because my impression is that there's a lot of different things in there. There's, protective land for the drinking water well. There's inholdings. There's all sorts of stuff. And so could you just maybe talk a little bit about Lawrence Swamp and its complications?
I will start if it's okay with Andre, but certainly Andre was part of that
Yeah,
process
please.
and Aaron as well. It's a good question, Bruce. I think yes, it is a complex mosaic down in Lawrence Swamp, but the size of the quote swamp, the both protected land owned by the town for water supply protection and the land overseen by the Conservation Commission, owned by the residents of Amherst through conservation, is so large that context really, I think historically, that's why Lawrence Swamp has been on that list for decades. That list hasn't changed in the years that I've been here. Those areas have been on there. So Lawrence Swamp is so large. And yes, there are some inholdings. Many of them are farmed. Many of them are open. I think the Conway study identified possible areas that the town should maybe consider purchasing or conserving. They identified things like, if we're going to allow hunting down there, there should be more signage, things like that, more communication with users. But I would turn it over to Aaron or Andre. I don't think there was any huge red flags about hunting given the size of that area, because conservation is 419, but you add hundreds more acres of that in water supply protection, APR farmland, etc. So it was the
That's all I
context
needed
of
to
it.
know.
Yeah.
That's all I needed. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, just some just from without getting any technical here. There's a lot of different parcels of land there, and but they're all open, so to speak. Everything else is kind of open to hunting that I know of. So I don't think allowing it would change anything from the neighboring properties. That mosaic that we're talking about. So Dave, you want to take it on to the right?
Again, our hope.
Prohibited?
Yeah, our hope tonight was not to go through every one of those if possible, to see if you had time as commission members to go through those. Again, I think what I said last meeting was this, Aaron and I saw this as a common sense approach in the context of both being very familiar with all of our conservation areas, being familiar with ecology, being familiar with biology, being familiar with what we've allowed for hunting in the past, and also looking at the GIS, looking at trails, looking at roads, and saying these areas in the right-hand column, we would not recommend opening those for hunting. If there are specific ones that you would like to call out and ask us about, now would be the time. If not, I would suggest maybe there's general agreement about what is in the right-hand column, and we move to the middle column where there may be more discussion. But
So would you
I defer
rather
to-
talk
to
about
you
the
all.
middle column now and get to the right column later, or do you want to tackle any questions on the right column first and then do the middle column? It's up to you.
I think, Aaron, we would rather, if there are any questions on the right-hand column, I think we'd rather take them now and hopefully
All right.
they're short, but the context is there in the spreadsheet.
Okay. So just to give everyone else here, I went through it and I checked off everything that I agreed with. And then I had a couple questions about some, and then I had I couldn't find some others, so I would need some assistance from Dave and Aaron in figuring it out. So
Sure. Aaron was
go-
nice enough to put together a map to show everyone. So
Mhm.
if that would be helpful, Andre, maybe you could list off your question and we'll go point by point.
Sure. So I'll start with the Wildwood. I used to live there, right just across the street and down a little bit, and then I moved there again. There's a passageway that the students who live in the apartment complexes or the housing complexes to the north of the Wildwood area, they typically come right through the Wildwood Cemetery. There's a section of fence that's been torn out there that the students come through. I don't remember seeing students come through the actual conservation area, but I just wanted to kind of run through that a little bit, Dave.
Aaron, do you want to take this? I'm happy to, but I want to share the.
Yeah, so we did meet with was it Ron Young, the
police captain.
yes,
Yeah.
police
Captain, yes.
captain. And Wildwood was one of the sites, one of the properties that we had talked about with him, to my recollection. Apparently there's a just north of Wildwood School, there's a housing complex, and then there's also this housing complex, Village Park, and there's a trail system that extends behind Olympia Oaks down through that connects to Wildwood Cemetery. And his comments were that a lot of the students that live in those, students meaning like elementary school or high school, junior high school age students who live in those complexes, use the trails through Wildwood and through Wildwood Cemetery to come down to get to like Wildwood I know is going away, but the middle school and high school as well. And so that was one of the sites, and that's what he specifically referenced. So that was my only point of context of knowing anything really about that property, was his commentary on it.
Yeah, so personally, I've never seen kids going to school through the fields in the back there. But definitely, I know that there are children who live in the apartment complex adjacent to Wildwood Cemetery that they go through. But I don't know. It's I'm not. This isn't to die on, but I did want to point out that I don't believe that it's that students are cutting through the actual conservation area, or they're not doing it very much.
If I could, Andre, I think, no.
Just
this
throwing
is
it out.
all, yeah, this is all good
Just
input.
throwing it out for folks to think about and move on.
What we also did was we recommended Hart Farm, which is part of that larger complex to the east,
Mhm.
to be in the list of huntable conservation areas. I think less than, as it was important to hear from Ron Young, but just the concentration of young children and families in Village Park and Olympia Oaks, you probably have, I'm going to guess, 150 kids in those two complexes. So that is their big backyard, and that was kind of the context under which we made that recommendation to you. So
Sounds good.
great. Next.
I didn't know where the Kiris property was. I couldn't find it on your maps, but
Kiris,
if you can point it out, I'd.
sure. Kiris is a
It's
2.8.
too small. I get it. I just want to see it.
Yep, it's off of Russellville Road. It is a very small parcel.
Okay.
There it is, right there at the end of Russellville Road, right on the Hadley Amherst line. It is a parcel that we purchased 6 or 7 years ago, with the hope that at some point it would be actively farmed. It has great, agricultural soils. And I'm hoping that it could either become a community garden or part of our agricultural licensing program.
Okay. Thanks for pointing that out where it is.
Yep.
Rolling Ridge and T Waddle, please.
Rolling Ridge, yes. Rolling Ridge is, yes, a tiny little area on Rolling Ridge Road that was gifted to the town. Erin, do you want to explain your color coding too? Because I
Sure,
don't know.
yeah.
I see.
So, the red outline is recommended no hunting. The orange is that's from the center column of ones to consider opening to hunting, and then the pink is deed restricted, and the blue is where we have hunting currently listed as allowed on the website.
And
Thanks.
thanks to Erin for pulling this together. So this is just surrounded by residential. It's a
Yeah, that
little
makes
forested
sense
area.
to me.
Yeah.
And that's T Waddle there, right there.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Bayberry.
Bayberry is over by Amethyst. Let me just get over there. Just south of Amethyst Brook.
Oh,
Again, close to an APR, yes, but adjacent to all of those houses. We just did not think it rose to that level. But again, we had it on our list of not open to hunting recommended.
all right. Is the within the yellow or the kind of it's within this area. Are we seeing those buffers that we're seeing?
Those are the state firearm setbacks from houses and paved roads that you're seeing.
So that's 500 feet from the house there, from those houses.
Correct. Yep.
From the houses or the properties?
From the structures. So you can see the little structures there.
Yep. Yep.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And let me look to the other. Longley Swamp?
Yep.
And if anyone has any questions about any of these places while we're talking about them, please let me know. I can't see anyone because I'm looking at the map. So just speak it up, please.
I don't know why the labels aren't showing up. It's one of these long ones, I believe. Oh, hold on one second. Maybe I'm getting it wrong. Thought it was one of those. Hold on, I can grab it on the list. Oh, there we go. There we go. Okay.
Again, this is an aptly named conservation area, Longley Swamp, right off of Southeast Street. My suspicion, this is a very old conservation area. My suspicion is many of these were picked up as subdivision open space. Nobody wanted these, and it
Mhm.
was our practice decades ago to accept some of these, what I would call marginal conservation value properties, but here we are decades later, and that is a nice cattail marsh.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, it's a
surrounded
bunch
by
of
houses
cattails
and the
in people's
road.
backyards.
Yep. So that is Longley Swamp
Okay,
Conservation
thank
Area.
you. And Bluebird Meadow,
Yep.
it says it's along the
Bluebird.
bike path.
Yeah, we picked this up about 8 or 10 years ago. It was a neighborhood initiative.
I see it.
With the Kestrel Trust involved and actually DCR. It's along Southeast Street. It abuts Southeast Street and the rail trail right before you go under the first underpass as you're going toward the north. It's right at the corner of Mill Lane. There's some bluebird boxes in the field there, and it abuts the rail trail.
So that one has a CR on it, which is held by DCR, and the CR doesn't explicitly prohibit hunting. You can see the buffer though, coming
Yeah.
off. It leaves this very skinny strip right along the bike path.
Yeah, it's got 150 feet from the bike path that's prohibited as well. So that's
Yeah.
out
Yeah.
of the question.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for pointing that one out. Uh, Plum Springs.
And by the way, when Aaron and I did this, we had the buffer layer on, but that was not the sole factor that we took into consideration. We as I said, we took it's kind of a common sense approach, but with many factors. And again, for this one, it was really surrounded by residential development. Probably years ago, many of these homes were not there, but here we are in 2026, and it is a nice little oasis in the middle of all of these homes off of South Orchard Drive and Chapel Road and Bay Road.
Yeah, I've hiked that. It's really good wildlife spot. There's a lot of little hollows and stuff in there, and then
It is
fields.
It is a very well loved conservation area, very well used by the residents.
There's a lot of wildlife edge. They're great juxtaposition of habitats. Okay, all right, thank you. And the Daly Sawyer Meadow.
So Daly Sawyer Meadow is actually in the view. It's this little piece right, sort of northeast of Plum Springs, where my cursor is resting.
Okay, and what's the other one? Leslie Farm? Is that what it says?
Yes, Leslie Farm. Yep.
Thank you. Elf Meadow. I go by there all the time. I've ride my bike through there. I think it should be left open. The parts that are far enough away from the homes. It's not a soccer field. I've seen it's kind of high. It's not very short mode. Anyway, I that's one there. I know where it is, but I don't agree that it should be closed.
It may be the type of thing where there is we could even cut it in half or something and have half of it open. I will say, although we do not get there as frequently as we would like, the meadow itself historically has been a very active quasi-recreation field. In fact, the last time I met with the neighbors there, yes, we got an earful on how valuable that area is to that neighborhood. So they very much value that. So we might be able to take a look at that and say maybe the eastern portion or something like that could be
Yeah,
open
yeah,
to
it is
hunting.
it is a nice spot. I hike, run, and bike it there quite a bit, and I actually train a dog there in that little field. And yeah, I mean, just remember that if a place is open to hunting, you still can't hunt any closer than 500 feet from a home or 150 from any road. So it's going to cut cut backward, northward a little ways, no matter what. But okay, we can discuss that at some other point. But I just wanted to throw out that those are a few things that I wasn't that I didn't know of, and then 2 or 3 that I wasn't quite in agreement with. Can you explain? I saw Slow Buddy Farm is, or I don't know if it's got a different way of pronouncing it, is recommended to be closed, and I see it's leased to the horse farm. Is that?
Part of Slow Buddy Farm, we consider Slow Buddy Farm all of that land down on the
Wow.
north side of Station Road. So part of it is leased to the horse farm in a 30-year lease that predates all of us working with the town, for the town. And then some of it is actually not conservation land. It shows up here as conservation land, but there's actually an exclusion. If you know where the horse barn is down as you get toward the rail trail, yeah, right about in that area, you see DPW trucks there.
Yeah.
It's used for storage. So there's a pretty significant exclusion there for other town uses. So it's kind of a complex mosaic of uses there. There's also a small nursery that the DPW has on the backside of that barn, and then of course the horses in the field to the west. So we recommended, and of course the rail trail to the east. So we had recommended that area as not be included in hunting. But again, it was just our Aaron and our contextual recommendation.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And I can see why you recommended that. Any other questions? I see that Bruce, do you have questions on any of those?
Well,
Comments?
no, I have a more general question, and maybe I'll just raise it and then we can see where it fits in. Aaron, can you go back out enough to see the whole town? But as big as you can make it and still see the whole town. That's probably enough. So there aren't a lot of these, but I note that there's some that are on the boundary line. And I guess my question is, at some point, is there anything we could do, should do about knowing what happens from the town if people are coming from, because I don't know where the boundary line is between the two towns. So if there are hunters coming in, is hunting allowed right on the other side of the line in the other town, for example? So just something to ponder, not tonight, but it did make me wonder about it.
Thanks, Bruce.
And Andre, I just have Elf Meadow, but of the ones that we just kind of scrolled through, were were there any other ones on the list of recommended no hunting that kind of stood out to you as wanting to keep in consideration?
Yes. Well, the Wildwood one, I still would like to have that discussion. And
Okay.
like I said, I'm not, I don't think anything depends on it, but I think it would be good to discuss that.
Okay,
I did have a couple other questions.
sure.
Cider Mill Pond.
Where are we? Oh, cider mill. Sorry, I was thinking gull. Let me back up. Ah, wrong tool.
All right. So-
Again, this was one of those general ones, again, surrounded by homes, single access in, that is public land. And you can see, we roughly looked at the setbacks from homes and said, it's a highly used area. And our recommendation was not to have it open to hunting.
All right. Yeah, I'm not sure about that one myself, but okay. And then, oh, King's Reserve. You want? I see that. Yep, I had that. And so it just looks like it's very far from this home that meaning the buffer on King's Reserve, for example. Looks like it covers almost all of King's Reserve, and that's actually 500 feet from the home. Then, huh? What we're seeing there. Oh, thanks. That's cool. Yeah, that helps. I what I can't see is how far it actually said. Oh, 502. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I think
Any other questions on that right list?
Dave, I do have that's the question.
Yeah.
So I think on something like the King's Reserve, Dave, and this is just for I'm putting it up for discussion. If you're hunting on that property in accordance with state law, you're not going to hunt in that area that's basically that's buffer zone, right? But you still have access to all that other stuff in the white that's in the middle in between, if it's open to hunting by private landowners. So
Potentially, yep.
yeah, I mean, so I think there are a few that we may want to consider opening, even though they are, this one has a house, but it's not. I don't see that it's surrounded by homes. So I'll just make. I'm in
It sounds
agreement
like
with the
you've
side of-
identified three, yeah.
Yeah, that's the third one. That's it. So Wildwood, King's Reserve, and Elf Meadow. And that's it. That's from my perspective.
What about Cider Mill Pond?
Sorry.
What about Cider Mill
Oh,
Pond?
Cider Mill. I agree with your recommendation,
Okay.
but I'm just one of us, one of our
Okay,
seven.
well, that's good. I mean, it sounds like you've identified questions on three of those areas, so I would, unless other commission members have questions, I would recommend we move on to the middle category and
Let's do that.
And we can go through, maybe those should be gone through a line by line, and we'll see how far we got. Bruce's hands is up, I see.
So, yeah, hang on one second. I think rather than go through them line by line, well, I don't know. We can see what we might find that just identifying the ones that we might, see who, anyway, yeah, I'll let you run that. Bruce.
Just testing the question as to how long it's going to take us to do the other things on the agenda. Given that it's 8:30 and that given this experience, it's going to take a little while to go through the middle column.
I agree. Maybe it's a good stopping point. Yeah. Andre, the reason I recommended line by line is it's also a chance for Aaron and I to show people on the map where they are, because we're likely more familiar with each one of these, and showing the context of where is it, houses, APR land, forest land, whatever, helps round out the discussion. So maybe this is a good stopping point and we go through the middle row next meeting.
I agree. I think that's a good idea. It feels like we're moving like at a speed of molasses, but we're getting through it. So we'll just keep plugging. I think it is a good time for us to move on to our other business, because we're getting on that, getting down to the 9 o'clock hour that we really don't want to go beyond.
Andre,
So,
could I ask if is this a good time to ask the public whether they have any questions before we move on from hunting? Because I see at least one person in the audience that may have a question or a comment about hunting. But they may not. They may not.
Great suggestion, Dave. Let's see what we got. Anyone from the public, if you do have questions or comments, please raise your hand and we'll let you in. I see Edith Allison is here and has a hand up.
Is it okay for me to?
Yeah, can you
her
please
in,
bring her
Andre?
in?
Sure.
Edith, if you don't mind, state your name, address, and if you have any preferred pronouns, and we welcome you here. Please give us your comment.
Well, thank you so much. My husband Don and I are here. I'm so impressed by how carefully you are looking at these things, and I'm always grateful to town people who do all this work. We don't do it. Thank you. We live Kestrel moved in next to us. We're down by Atkins. We're really lucky to be here. It's beautiful and incredible. Hundreds of people come through this area, including on our driveway, and we can't quite picture, how do you keep bullets? I mean, I looked online. I can't picture how it's safe for walkers and hikers if people are shooting. So can you help us a little bit with that understanding? I support hunting. I grew up using a rifle. I support all that, but I don't see how it's safe. And thank you for taking our question.
Can you please give us your address?
57 Bay Road.
Thank you. And that's a great question from both of you. And it's I can totally understand where you're coming from with the fact knowing the fact that bullets travel. Now, one of the things with hunting in Massachusetts is that deer hunting is done with shotgun only, as far as with shotgun or a primitive firearm. So you're not having an encased bullet that's going to travel miles blindly. The effective range of a shotgun at most is 150, 200 yards, but most shotguns won't. Most folks aren't going to shoot at something that's that far. I mean, for me, I have a just anyway. So The other, so that's for deer, if you would, where there would be one single slug fly. Every other type of hunting that's done is done with shot shells, which have a bunch of small BBs in them that disperse, and because of the wind resistance, they slow down and don't have much of a reach to them. I can tell you, I used to be a game warden, and I've been hiding in the woods and been peppered with shot from folks that I was watching, and it loses its they lose their speed, and they won't and they don't hurt unless you're right in front, right next to each other. I think another important thing to note is that there are almost no accidents, hunting accidents between hunters and non-hunters in this state. And the majority of the accidents that you hear about and see are typically hunters falling out of their tree stands. That's when things happen, and that's when some pretty unfortunate accidents can happen. But anyway, and I think also, just to give you a little more peace of mind, Amherst prohibits hunting with a rifle within Amherst's bounds. So you're not going to have a bullet like that of a rifle flying around legally. I hope that helps, and if you have any follow-ups, I'd be happy to answer.
Thank you so much. That makes a lot of sense. I'll leave with a sort of a comedic ending that not that many years ago, a man drove up, parked at our home with a very, very long rifle. And that's my image of what's going on. Thank you so much for educating us, and thank you for all you do. Bye.
Thank you.
Is that okay?
Yes.
Nobody's smiling.
I think we got a few smiles here. Thank you.
Oh, it must have been a delay. Should we leave?
Any more folks from the public who would like to have questions answered or have any comments? I don't see any other folks. Okay, with that, let's move on to our other business. Let me find my place here. The Snyder APR. If I'm going to recuse from this and let Bruce handle this one. Bruce?
Okay. My understanding is that this is a fairly straightforward question. I'm going to let Aaron describe it to us and then provide us with whatever vote we need.
Maybe I
Hey,
could.
Dave.
Yeah, I could describe it. So, very briefly, the Snyder APR off of Southeast Street, I believe the materials are in your packet. This is a very old APR in Amherst. The Snyders original Snyders, who put this APR on their property, this goes back more than 20 years, have passed away, and their children are working with the APR program and on some issues related to their APR, which the town, through the commission and through the town council, are co-holders with the state of this APR. And the children of the Snyders would like to add 0.59 acres to the APR. This is somewhat unusual, but is a very small parcel. I believe Aaron could call up do you have the map which shows the addition? I think it'd be the color map. And so what is required as a co-holder is for the town of Amherst, through the Conservation Commission and through the town council, to essentially accept this 0.59 acres and add it to the original APR off of Southeast Street. And you have all of this in your packet. So it is a gift of 0.59 acres, some of which is tillable. And let's see if we can view this map. There it is. Do you have the aerial too, Aaron? Or no, the aerial kind of tells a little bit better story, I think. Or a color image. Staff is recommending that you support this addition to the APR. The state would like this to happen. The Snyder family would like this to happen, and we see no reason why the town wouldn't support this. So I think Aaron's working
Okay.
on the aerial, just so you can see. I think it's the top one, Aaron. There it is. I don't know if you can make that bigger or not. It's probably the way I sent it to you is not great. But if you could outline the actual addition, the large
Okay.
APR outlined in red with the exclusion of the house and barns, and then they're proposing to add that 0.59 acres as Aaron's
Okay.
cursor is outlining.
Let's see if there's any members of the public who have a comment or a question on this. I can't see them, Aaron, so. And you're muted, so I can't hear you.
Yeah, I can't see either when I'm sharing my screen.
Yeah,
I don't see
there
any.
are none.
Yeah,
I
I don't
don't
see
see
anyone
any
with their
questions.
hand up.
Let's see, any commissioner questions? Is there any reason not to do this that anyone can think of? Okay, Aaron, what is the vote that we should take?
So Dave, is this adding the commission as a co-holder, or is it the town of
No,
Amherst?
I think it would be a vote to accept the gift of the APR on 0.59 acres. Yeah, I
Okay.
think it would be to accept the gift of 0.59 acres for the Snyder APR off of Southeast Street. Yeah, and it would be added
Okay.
to the original APR.
Do I have a motion of what Dave just said?
So move.
Carol with the motion. Do we have a second?
Second?
Tina with the second. So Rachel,
Aye.
Tina,
Aye.
Carol,
Aye.
and I also am an aye. Thank you. The motion passes. I yield back to the chair.
Thank you, Bruce. That's gonna be a good addition to what's already a nice property there. We have compliance updates. Aaron?
So I'll just give a quick update, which is we received the signed waiver form from DH Sullivan for the debris cleanup at Wildwood Conservation Area. I don't really have any further updates on that. And then also just wanted to give an update on Colonial Village, which is there were some photos in your packet in an email in the correspondence folder from Dave Cameron, who they added some temporary wooden staking around the wetlands at Colonial Village property with some wetland flagging connecting the temporary wooden stakes to try to demarcate the wetlands. And this was as a result of me raising concern about the fact that they're continuing to mow the wetlands. So I wanted to just give the commission an update that that adjustment had been made.
All right. This is the second time that they've done this, or that they've mowed and been warned. Is that
This was the
right?
third time that
Third.
I've had to reach out to them about mowing. Yes.
Um, and yeah, I mean, I think I have a little bit of an issue with this. We can't continue to have this have them do this. I mean, they've done this 3 times already, or similar type things. What are our recourses?
Well, the commission could potentially do a notice of non-compliance, which is basically just a sort of a formalized letter that lets them know how they're out of compliance with the bylaw. And in this case, these are bylaw jurisdictional wetlands. So just to kind of put that as a backdrop. I mean, it's technically alteration of a wetland. So, if you wanted to take it a step higher, you could also do that. Enforcement is on a DEP form. These are wetland, bylaw only wetlands. So if you did decide to go that route, you'd have to indicate on the form that it was bylaw only. Um, I've suggested permanent demarcation, but I understand that they're proposing to come at some point in the near future with a proposed project there. And so there's been a little hesitation to put permanent demarcation in. So
Okay.
yeah.
All right. I can tell you that I feel like they need to do something permanent because it hasn't been working. And it appears that they've committed a violation each time. And also, I wouldn't mind discussing an enforcement order. So I'd like to hear from the rest of our commissioners what your opinions are. And I see Rachel will be first. You're muted. I'm sorry.
Thanks, Andre. I just wanted to double check in their order of conditions, do they have any restrictions on mowing or distances of mowing?
Well, there's no order of conditions for that property. They did have an ORAD where they confirmed within a study area that there were 4 bylaw jurisdictional wetlands. So once we've made that determination, basically the provisions of our bylaw come into effect, which are, I mean, we're talking isolated wetlands, so there's 100-foot no disturb. They're mowing up to the edge and through them. So
Okay.
yeah,
So this would be under the Amherst Wetlands Bylaw jurisdiction
correct.
interpretation.
Yep.
Yeah, because this has come up on some other projects and other municipalities that don't have a bylaw. And there is a section in the state regulations that says mowing is exempt and it says mowing is exempt from CMR 310, section 10, which has the entirety of it. So I know it can get a little weird. I mean, if somebody has an existing wetland with vegetation, we obviously don't want them to mow it. But if it's an area that had been a lawn before and became wetlands over time, that's where it gets a little muddy.
Yeah, I think when the commission issued the ORAD, there was an acknowledgement at that time that they needed to stop the mowing
Okay.
now that the wetlands had been identified and put on a plan of record. So that's kind of what the source of that backstory was. But yeah, I don't disagree with you. And it had been forested and then, portions of it forested up until like 2017. Portions of that forest had been removed.
Okay.
And then they started mowing it after that. So there's been some kind of conversions going on.
Okay. So that's a different category than it's always been lawn. Yeah.
Portions of it have, yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rachel. Carol?
Okay, I make sure I understand. I know that I've seen that area with the little small area demarcated. But you're saying that the buffer zone would go beyond that.
Yeah, so the spot that you're seeing, Carol's up on the road, and that's
Mm.
not the wetland of concern. That they've actually been leaving that one alone. It's the
Yeah, that's what-
wetlands that are uh it, sort of in the back, which are you have to kind of drive around
Oh, okay.
and see them from like the back of the property to actually see where they're located. Yeah, there's three isolated wetlands in the back.
Well, okay, I'm new to this, but it doesn't sound as if they've paid attention in the past, right? Are you satisfied that they're going to pay attention in the future without the kinds
Yeah,
of
I think that's up to
order?
the commission.
Okay, well, then are we satisfied?
I'm not,
Okay.
but I'd like to hear what the rest of us are. How do you feel, Carol?
I've been a school teacher. If I had to ask somebody 3 times to stop doing something, I'd make sure I didn't have to ask them a 4th time.
Thank you. Bruce?
I think we should not encourage, I think we should require them to put in the permanent demarcation. 3 times is enough.
Mhm.
And okay, if someday they come to us with a proposal and it means they have to take out the permanent thing, oh, that's the way it goes.
Good thinking, Bruce. Aaron, can we force that through an enforcement order or through some other method?
Well, so I mean, this is my recommendation, just where we're at tonight is I could draft a formal letter to them that basically requests or tells them that they need to install permanent demarcation there and state we'd like to have it done by, within 30 days or within 60 days, whatever you think is appropriate, and ask them to install that and let them know if in the future they come through with a project and things change, then those bounds could be removed or permitted to be removed. But until that time, the commission would like to have some more permanent boundary markers installed. And then if they don't do it by a given time, then that might warrant, a more uh, serious response. They have been they have been responsive. It's been I think a breakdown in communication between the consultant, the owner, and the landscaping folks on site. So this could be a potential, and again, I'm not making excuses for them, just what I'm being told. But that might be a way for us to just send the message that we need something done by, I mean, I think 30 days is a reasonable period of time. Tell them we'd like to have it done and come out and do an inspection, and that if it's not done, we'd consider enforcement action at that time.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm leaning toward an enforcement order, but if they put up something permanent, then that'll take care of the problem, and that's what I care about. I can't see. Oh, I see us all now. Is it just by a show of hands? Is everybody in agreement with this route of sending them a letter and having them permanently demark it? And if not, then we consider other options. I'll raise my hand. Okay. Rachel, did you have any other ideas?
No, I'm not totally clear on the mowing, not mowing and the isolated. I just need to inform myself more about our Amherst bylaws.
Okay. Is there anything that you want to ask Aaron or Dave, who are most familiar with them, or doesn't matter? I mean,
Is mowing explicitly prohibited in the Amherst bylaws?
We have 100-foot no touch around the
touch.
isolated wetlands,
That's
so
good. Okay.
it's like a no disturb zone.
Okay.
And we're not asking them to
Yeah.
cease mowing in the no disturb zone. That area has been maintained as lawn. We're just simply asking that the wetlands themselves not be mowed.
Okay. Okay.
So
No, that's helpful.
All right. Do we need to vote on this?
I feel comfortable issuing them a letter and stating that, the commission asked me to send it, and yeah, I think that's fine.
Okay. All right. Great. Thanks. North Village Culvert upgrade.
Yeah,
For request for certificate of compliance.
I'm wondering if, because we have some folks waiting for the requests to amend orders of conditions, if we might take that one since it's getting late, and if we need to table the other discussion for another evening, we can do that if necessary.
I think that's a great idea. Thank you. Let's. Which one? Is it for both of them or?
So I believe the Hickory Ridge Solar is going to be tabled to the July 8th meeting. And so I have the folks for Amherst Community Homes in the waiting room. So if it's okay, I'll add them as panelists.
Sounds great.
I don't know. I'm trying to add folks, but I don't know who's coming in and who's not.
You have someone here, Katie. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Hi, yeah, thank you. I think I'm the only one that needs to be added at this point.
Welcome, Katie.
Hello, thank you for having us. So just real quick, give my intro a little spiel and we can go from there. So good evening, commission members. My name is Katie Oliha. I'm with Stonefield Engineering and Design, located at 120 Washington Street, Salem, Mass. We are the civil engineers representing Valley Community Development on the project. We appreciate you taking the time to hear us this evening. It has been really exciting to see this project come to fruition, and seeing the construction progress as it has. That said, throughout the course of construction, it's become apparent that there's a few minor modifications to the initially approved stormwater infrastructure, that we feel will lead to ensuring continuing long-term functionality of the system. And if it's all right, I will share my screen with you. Oop,
Yeah, you might need to submit a request to share.
did that work?
Yes, there you go.
Okay, great. So specifically looking at this area up here, but related to our above ground infiltration system in this area and the associated sediment forebay, we are proposing to do some additional modifications, including equipping the spillway itself in this area with a stone check dam, as well as including and installing some weep holes through the berm. The idea is the check dam will help ensure proper drawdown within the forebay, and the weep holes are an additional sort of backup feature that ensure that there's no continuous buildup of standing water while also allowing for sediment removal. And then for the basin itself, so those two items are specific to the sediment forebay. For the basin itself, the applicant is looking to install a drawdown device in order to aid in future maintenance activities should they be deemed necessary. So we do want to point out that this infiltration basin is actually functioning exceptionally well since it's been brought online. The inclusion of a drawdown device is not intended to alleviate any current issue or anything of that sort. It's intended as a proactive implementation, again, to ensure that long-term functionality should it be found that it's needed. Given this is an affordable housing development, the goal of these sorts of modifications is to ensure that we're doing as much as we can up front in order to facilitate safe and simple future maintenance activities. Ultimately, it kind of comes down to the idea that it's essentially better to have and not need, and need rather, apologies, stuttering over myself. better to have and not need rather than need and not have. So the drawdown device, as we have it shown, is proposed to discharge over towards the wetlands area, still within our current limit of disturbance that was initially approved. So the idea is it'll discharge into a riprap protected scour hole. And then at that point, there are a few other check dams downstream of that discharge point, as well as we worked with our landscape architect to incorporate additional plantings that will help with energy dissipation, and ensuring that there's no erosion issues as it discharges. The idea with this drawdown device, just for what it's worth, it's intended only to be activated should maintenance activities really be needed. Again, the basin's functioning very well at this time. The idea is not that there's going to be continuous flow coming from this drawdown device. It's only going to be activated when it is truly needed. And the valve itself is going to be locked within a locked enclosure, only able to be accessed by authorized personnel. So there's, no kids that are going to come up and accidentally flick a valve and send everything flowing out. The other part of it is so that's the main gist of why we're here. This is the area that's within the jurisdictional areas, but I do just want to note that the applicant is taking that same approach with some other areas on site, including a few select the small scale infiltration systems. They're also looking to incorporate these drawdown devices. Again, not because there's any current issue, just to ensure that future maintenance is easy, safe, simple as can be. So they are going to be proposed as well within a few of the more centralized, larger small scale systems. But the main adjustment is really largely based around upgrades to the sediment forebay and then future preemptive sort of mitigation components associated with the infiltration system. So that's the gist of it. To summarize, we're just looking to make improvements at this stage that are going to be part of ensuring long-term success of the on-site systems. And we do feel these proposed adjustments will provide a long-term benefit to the development site. And all that said, we'd love to hear your thoughts and any questions you may have.
Thank you, Katie.
Thank you.
Let's move to the town's take. Erin?
Yeah, so Jason Skeels, the town engineer, and I met with Stonefield maybe a month or so ago and reviewed all of these adjustments and, questioned the rationale behind them and asked a lot of questions to better understand why these changes were being proposed. And the end result was the changes, the suggested adjustments make a lot of sense. And we felt that, both of us felt very comfortable. We asked for a couple adjustments, primarily that stone riprap at the discharge point for the maintenance discharge point, and then the stone check dams as well as the vegetation, in order to make sure that if, for example, people come in to perform maintenance, let's say they're mowing that infiltration basin and it's got water in it and they need to draw the water out of it in order to perform the mowing, when they release the water, that there's some mitigation measures in place to reduce energy coming off of that discharge point. So there were staff recommendations were incorporated into the proposed changes. So all of that said, I'm completely comfortable with these changes, comfortable with them being very minor modifications to the plan that are necessary in order for them to perform maintenance. And I think they just were not unforeseen when the project was originally permitted. So that's where I stand on the adjustments.
Thanks a lot, Erin. And now I'm looking for the public. I see we have two members still as attendees. Please raise your hand if you have any questions or comments. And so far I see none. So with that, I'll turn it over to commissioners. Does anyone have a question or any comments? Rachel. You're muted.
Sorry. I had a couple questions. starting with the infiltration basin, how far above estimated high groundwater does this collection pipe sit?
So the collection pipe that again is only going to really be used should it really be needed. It is just below the surface, maybe 6 inches down-ish. It's not super deep sorry, I apologize. Let me rephrase that. From the bottom of the basin, it is a few inches below the bottom of the basin. It has still got roughly a little under 4 feet of separation from groundwater. So the bottom of the basin is separated from groundwater by 4 feet. So the pipe will sit just below the bottom of the basin.
Is that something that you could, some way you could document that on the drawings? The outlet pipe elevation makes it look like it might be all just like 6 inches above high groundwater. That might be something for your as-built to document that it's higher above the groundwater so that you're not dewatering the site.
Sure.
And then I appreciate trying to make it easier to maintain. What happens if the lock fails? Like, is it something that has to be maintained to make sure it can be opened up in an emergency? What does that look like?
Are you referring to the lock itself on the valve or on the discharge? So the idea is the lock on that is going to be something that, the operator in charge is going to have a key to, sort of thing. It's the valve itself is what's going to turn on and whatnot. And we've outlined all of this in our modified operations and maintenance manual as well. But it's not really anticipated that that standard lock is going to fail by any means. And the lock on the on the encasement of the valve is not associated with the valve itself. So nothing is going to fail. It has to be very actively turned on. It's not something that's just going to force itself through or fail because there's so much water going through and it pushes through. Like the valve has to be specifically activated, and it's the enclosure that's going to be locked. The valve itself is going to have to be activated by authorized personnel. And again, we did outline this in our operations maintenance manual as well.
And then if you flip it and like need to open it up and the lock itself is stuck, is it the kind of thing that you have like bolt cutters to open, or like what do you do in that case?
So you're saying if it's unable to be opened?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like a lot of things that have mechanical connections need to be opened and closed so they don't rust.
Yeah, so I it's a little bit of a tough question, honestly, because they're very functional, they're very typical, they're not out of the ordinary sort of systems. It's something that if you wanted to see in order to ensure that it's continuously being used, we can add to the O&M that it's to be activated every now and then to ensure, or whatever level of frequency that the commission would like to see in order just to ensure it's maintaining its functionality. That's certainly something we could look to include. But it's a plastic fitting and it's going to have to be tested, and it's nothing extraordinary like that is anticipated, but we can certainly look to implement various measures if it would be beneficial as far as the O&M goes. But the O&M does include checking the valve as well. It's not just, turn it on and off. It's the O&M does include inspecting the valve and make sure it's functioning the way it's supposed to.
Okay.
Thank you, Rachel. Just do another check of the public, and then we'll move from there. Anyone in the public who would like to comment or have questions or has any questions? I see none. All right. And so, see any problems with it? Do we need to do a vote on this, Aaron?
Yes, if the commission's okay with the adjustments and is considering these to be a minor administrative change to the plans, my recommendation would be that the commission make a motion that the the plan set that's currently been submitted is a minor administrative change to the plan, DEP number 0890724, and that the commission approves of the changes just in a simple motion, and then that way we can add them to the project folder and have the
Okay.
plans on hand.
So we're looking for a motion to approve the minor administrative changes to the Amherst Housing Community Homes DEP 089-0724 as requested by the applicants.
So moved.
Bruce with a motion.
Second.
Tina with a second? Was it Tina? Yep, okay. Tina.
Aye.
Rachel?
Aye.
Carol?
Aye.
Bruce?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. So Katie, thank you very much for your presentation and best of luck.
Thank you guys very much. Really appreciate it. Have a great rest of your evening.
You too, thanks. Unless, is there anything else that we must do tonight? No.
I think we can table the certificate for
All
next
right.
time.
Carol has something. Carol, please. Sorry.
Okay, this is my effort to promote taking the MAC fundamentals courses. And there is a Wetlands Protection Act course offered on July 22nd. It's the second of the 6 courses. That's a Wednesday night. So I don't know how that works out. But that would be great if we could, as a group, do that. As I say, I don't know how you do it what would that require? And the other thing I wanted to mention is that in October, on the 24th, a Saturday, the fall conference has as its theme, why do we do what we do? The science and ecology of wetland protection. I think, that we certainly have time to consider. But I think that would be a wonderful opportunity for us to expand our knowledge.
Yeah, I wonder if if there are enough of us to who want to go. Or if we all agree to, maybe we can change our semi-monthly meeting to the 29th, and then on the 22nd we would be available to go. Dave has hands up, but just a little bit of food for thought on Carol's suggestion. Dave?
Yeah, real quickly. Carol, if you could send me that would be great. Again, as I've said before, as of July 1st, we will have this money available for professional development. So I think what I suggested was maybe Erin could be kind of creating some sort of little spreadsheet of each one of you commissioners, and then if people want to go to this workshop in July, you could let us know. I will check with the town whether it's a reimbursement situation, i.e. you pay for it up front and then we reimbursed you, or whether we knew that 4 of you wanted to go, we could pre-register you, pay in advance. So let me figure that out. So if you could get that, Carol, to Erin and myself, and then maybe commission members could email Erin to let us know. We've got plenty of time for the fall one, but late July is right around the corner. So let us know, and there's funding available to support you.
How many people would be interested in taking part in that course on the 22nd?
Is it in person?
No, it's a Zoom thing. 6 to
Yeah, I am.
to 8.
Bruce has his hand up. Does that mean that you're interested, Bruce, or that you have a
Well,
question?
maybe, but I'm looking at the calendar and I just want to ask Aaron, would there be significant problems if we sought to change the date from the 22nd to the 29th?
If we can plan far enough ahead, it shouldn't be a problem. I usually, for example, if I get an application 3 weeks ahead of time, I'm targeting a given date for, butter notifications and legal advertisements. So I would just need to know for any new applications that come in, and also just to let applicants know that we've got a shift in our meeting schedule for that particular night. But I mean, I don't think it's a big deal on my end to shift the meeting 1 week if the
So-
commission decides to do that.
Given that, I'm
So-
in favor of it.
Great. So let's take the discussions on this offline, since it is these are administrative issues. It's okay for us to make plans for going to a meeting, as long as we're not discussing cases, etc.
Thanks.
Right. So let's keep that discussion going. Any topics that other beyond Carol's that were not reasonably anticipated in the last 48 hours? I don't see any. Any members of the public have? Do any members of the public have any comments before we close? I don't see any hands up. So with that, we're looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Bruce with a motion.
Second?
Tina with a second. Tina,
Aye.
Rachel,
Aye.
Carol,
Aye.
Bruce,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. Thanks everyone for a good meeting. Next week when we do, or next time that we meet, when we do the hunting, we'll start with the middle column and try and tackle the whole thing, if as much as we can. Thanks again. We'll see you all soon. Enjoy the wonderful weather while we have it.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Bye.